All right, guys, this is your next assignment over causes of the Spanish-American War, and then you also have in this PowerPoint turning points and the effects of the war. So make sure if it is underlined, it goes in your notes. All right, before you get started, at the top of your page, you have 5 boxes. If you will start at the left side and you will number the boxes 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, that will help you out. All right, so this is your first reason. You can see that there is something underlined in the box in white, and then there is something underlined at the top. Okay, so if you will, let me get a pointer out going here. All right, consider all of these with the numbers your title for your boxes, and then everything else is the information that goes under the title. Okay. All right. So our first reason is American jingoism and nationalism. So jingoism is that extreme nationalism. Okay, and under that, you're going to write social Darwinism, which is scientific racism promoted ideas of racial superiority. Okay, so basically, this is saying that the US thinks they're so awesome, we are going to spread our ideas and our way of life to other areas of the world. And you can see in the picture there, okay, how we started out and then where we are now. Okay, well, I should say in 1898. All right, next. Okay, make sure in the box you are writing number 2, Cuban Revolution, 1895 to 1898. Okay, this is our reason number 2 for causes of the Spanish-American War. All right, so Spain's harsh treatment of Cubans forced them to rebel. Okay, it is crushed. The rebellion is crushed by the Spanish army, and they are forced into barbed wire camps. And a lot of them died from disease and starvation. Okay, and you can see that in the picture here. Okay, there are also US tariffs that caused a depression in Cuba. So we had placed tariffs against Cuban goods, which makes it harder for them to sell or trade and to make money. Okay, so tariffs typically are designed to hurt somebody else's trade and help the United States. All right, our next reason, number 3, we have yellow journalism. This is sensationalism of events by American newspapers. Okay, so Joseph Pulitzer's New York World and William Randolph Hearst's New York Journal. Okay, so these are the 2 guys that were basically in a competition. And you can see in that political cartoon, they're dressed up as little babies and they're wearing yellow gowns to show this is yellow journalism. Okay, and they're stacking up the building blocks that say war. Okay, so basically they know that if the US goes to war, that they will sell a lot of newspapers while they're reporting it. All right, so they're using exaggerated stories to sell more newspapers about this war. Okay, and we have some examples on the page of modern day yellow journalism. So we've got our Abraham Lincoln was a woman, Bush on cocaine in the White House, and is your baby racist? So these are things that you might have seen in the grocery store to try to catch your attention. All right, number 4, we have the DeLome letter called President McKinley Week. Okay, so this is a picture of Spanish Ambassador DeLome. Okay, he wrote a letter that was published in the newspaper, and part of it said McKinley is weak, he caters to rabble, and is a low politician. Okay, this is seen as an insult of national honor. Okay, so basically, it's one of those things where we don't want other people talking mess about our president. It might be okay for us to talk mess, but we don't want somebody else doing it. All right, next, number 5, your last box. We have the mysterious explosion of the USS Maine in Havana Harbor in Cuba. Okay, so the Maine was sent to Cuba to protect American property. Okay, the explosion killed 258 US sailors and injured more. Okay, Spain is blamed for sabotage. However, okay, it is not entirely clear as to if it was sabotage or if it was truly an accident, but Spain is blamed for it. It's put in the newspaper, and everyone wants revenge. All right, second half of your paper. Okay, so this is the bottom, the little chart you have. Okay, this is all the information that's going to go in there to answer those topics. All right, turning points in history. So Spanish-American War. Okay, this goes in the first box there that says 1898, a turning point. Okay, so many Americans sympathized with the Cuban patriots, and the U.S. invested 100 million, I think that's supposed to be $1 million, in the Cuban sugar industry. Okay, Cuba was a Spanish colony that was fighting for its independence. Oh, no, sorry, this goes in there. Okay, so this goes in your first box there. So we have 1898, a turning point. All right, this is major for American history. It took us only 4 months, and the United States defeats Spain. We acquire Guam, the Philippines, and Puerto Rico. The U.S. is now considered the most powerful navy in the world because Spain, at that point, was a very powerful navy, and we beat them. All right, in 1898, the U.S. becomes a major world power. So we emerge out of the Spanish-American War as a major world power. All right, the Platt Amendment. Okay, so the Platt Amendment sets up a few things for how we are dealing with Cuba. Okay, so first, Cuba can't make any treaties with other nations. Cuba had to let the U.S. have naval bases there, and we still have naval bases there. We have Guantanamo Bay. Cuba had to keep their debt low, meaning they could not owe other countries money. And the U.S. can do whatever we want to make sure Cuba stays an independent country, of course, with us kind of controlling a little bit. And so now Cuba is an American protectorate until 1934. All right, governing Puerto Rico. So the U.S. established a civil government. All right, there are elected legislature. Governor and executive council is appointed by the U.S. president. In 1917, Puerto Ricans are granted U.S. citizenship. And in fact, they get to vote in our national elections. There is continuing debate, though, as should Puerto Rico become a state? Should it be an independent country? Or should it continue as a self-governing commonwealth, which is what it is currently? Okay, and you can see that in this political cartoon that there was a lot of that social Darwinism, racism, where we believed we were superior. And it shows Uncle Sam, and it shows little kids representing each of these areas that we've taken over. So we have the Philippines, Hawaii, Puerto Rico, and Cuba. Okay, we have the little Chinese guy right here in the open door, and we have the Native American who's been left behind, and you can see he's reading upside down. So basically, this is a very racist political cartoon depicting the feelings of this time period. All right, next we have rebellion in the Philippines. Okay, 1899, Emilio Aguinaldo, he wanted independence, and he ordered troops to attack American soldiers. So remember, we went into the Philippines to help them against Spain. We won, and we kicked Spain out, but basically we just took their place. Okay, we did not give the Philippines their independence right away. Okay, and the Filipinos are not happy about this. All right, we have reconcentration camps where they separate Filipino guerrillas from civilians. Thousands die from disease and starvation. Okay, William Howard Taft, before he becomes president, he is the first civilian governor of the islands and started reforms. He improved education, transportation, and healthcare. Okay, in 1946, following World War II, the Philippines gained full independence from the United States. Okay, the war, World War II was very bad in the Philippines, and we felt like it was time for them to have their independence, that they earned it. All right, economic effects of the war. You've got quite a bit to write down on this one. Okay, so in 1904, overseas investments are up to 2.5 million. Okay, we make Cuba safe again, and so our sugar plantations and mining can continue on. Hawaii is now an American territory. This happened at the same time. It is not a result of the Spanish-American War. Remember, this is because Sanford Dole and all of his American business partners went in and threw out the queen and took it over. All right. So Hawaii is attracted to investors for sugar and tobacco. Then we have the Philippines, American investment. There is trade with Asia. We built railroads, opened mines, and expanded the sugar industry. Our naval spending increased to $135 million. We have a large Navy to protect power and to safeguard our interests. Remember, now the United States is willing to send a military force to protect our interests wherever that might wind up in the world. This stimulates the economy and shipbuilding. The war with Spain and battle with Filipino guerrillas, cost $400 million. Okay, so those are the economic effects of the war. All of it has to do with investment, money, and trade. And that is it for this assignment. Make sure you get everything written down. And if you're doing this on the Google Doc, you can go ahead and turn it in and hit submit.